3 days of mourning are now being observed in Crimea after a student carried out a bloody attack in the city of Kerch. Video has emerged showing the attacker buying cartridges. Now, his killing spree left 21 people dead and dozens injured. He later committed suicide. Now, this video here dates back to Saturday. With all the victims now identified, the massacre has left dozens desperate over the loss of their loved ones. We can now show you live pictures just to the side of me now. Live pictures from the vigil in Kerch. It's just about 3 minutes past noon there now, about midday. It's where people, of course, have come to mourn the victims. A priest has been there reading prayers for the victims of the tragedy. Again, these are live pictures right here from the vigil in Kerch. Now, people have been gathering to mourn the victims. This was all throughout the night and into the early hours of the morning, with residents of Sevastopol and Moscow bringing flowers and candles to the city's memorials in Kerch. Well, we managed to speak to a woman whose niece missed classes on Wednesday due to an illness. We also talked with the relatives of survivors of the massacre.
My niece fell ill yesterday and did not go to class. She would have been right where it all happened. She was crying all day after she found out about the tragedy. We could not calm her down for the whole day. 3 of her classmates were injured. They're in hospital with broken bones. One of them was shot in the stomach, and another classmate was shot dead. I could not even imagine that such an event could happen here. I studied in this college myself. There's a shrapnel wound in her right leg, and the left one is shattered. I feel bad.
This is a shock, a complete shock. This is my daughter, you know. I still can't calm down at all. They called me when I was at work, said that she'd been taken here with these injuries. My blood pressure has gone through the roof.
And with the investigation into the attack well underway, Murad Gazdiev reports from the scene, where he spoke to the neighbors of the attacker.
С детства мальчиком он был жестоким. То есть еще в детстве у него были эти склонности к оружиям, постоянно вот эти стрелялки. Вот, даже у меня, собственно, был с ним инцидент, когда попадали и пульками в ноги, то есть, всякое было. То есть с самого детства это были какие-то странности.
Для меня это шок. Я не верю. Вот, не знаю, я вижу, что убитого я вчера видела, и что он это совершает, это непростимо. Это, не знаю, это преступление страшное. Но вот плохого я о них не могу ничего сказать.
It's all still sinking in. There's so much sorrow here, so much grief over the loss. There's also confusion as to why this happened. There's no obvious motive, no explanation, no cause. And above all, etched on so many faces here, there's pain. There's more tragic news overnight. The death toll has been revised upwards again. We now have the names of all of those that were killed, 5 of them seniors, faculty members, staff from the college itself. Behind me, 15 of them students, teenagers cut down in their prime, mostly aged between 16 to 19. In hospital, we have 10 people in critical condition fighting for their lives. In all, more than 70 people were injured, 40 remain in hospitals around Kerch in Crimea. They've been transported to various hospitals depending on their injuries. But it all began in the early hours of the morning with a bomb.
Смотри, тут такой, знаешь, с окна, знаешь, чтобы стекла полетели. Может, не трогать? Кто-то съебал? Это может помощь нужна! Да любой номер, какой средний, ты возьмешь.
Не знаю. Просто мы вышли во внутренний двор политеха, и через минуту все взорвалось. Просто стекла везде повылетали. Начали стрелять. Я бежала и видела, как пацаны просто падают, и кровь летит повсюду. Мою подругу. Даже. Мы просто бежали, она упала, и все, она больше не встала. Я не видела больше ее. Там куча моих друзей.
The bomb itself, you can see the damage behind me was so powerful that, never mind the windows, it knocked the window frames themselves out. This was an incredibly powerful bomb packed with shrapnel, with nuts, with bolts designed to maximize the number of people hurt, killed in the initial detonation. Sappers then found another explosive device which they were able to disarm. But nevertheless, the city itself is in mourning. It is coming to grips with what happened. We are seeing condolences coming in, pouring in from all over Crimea, from all over Russia, testimonies from witnesses who were there yesterday who can't quite seem to accept what happened, the friends, the teachers that they lost yesterday. Nevertheless, investigators are on scene. They're continuing to gather clues, to look at his background.
Well, the gunman is believed to be an 18-year-old student of the college. He was found dead in the building, having shot himself. And similarities, I should say, are being drawn to another atrocity, one that happened almost 20 years ago. We got reaction from several specialists who say the attack clearly echoes the Columbine massacre and that in today's internet age, it's just far too easy to learn how to make basic but deadly weapons.
A shocking event, but clearly there is something of a pattern developing, and it is very difficult to know how we can respond to that. I mean, we don't want our schools and colleges to become fortresses. They're places of learning. They should be where children and young people are exploring their lives, developing their lives. They shouldn't be fortresses or jails in that sense. But also I think we need to look at the culture. I mean, it's very early to draw any conclusions or parallels, but the parallels of Columbine are obvious. This is a young man who carried out a terrible crime, it seems, but also ended his own life. You know, he didn't deserve that, and really he needed our help before we got to this stage. And I think we need to be looking at that as a society, all of us. It's no longer just an American problem. For a long time, I think we could kind of pretend we in Europe didn't have this problem. Clearly it is not just a Russian, but a European problem, and I think we all have to take that on board.
The fact is that in the days of the internet, particularly, it's relatively easy to discover the means and then indeed acquire the means to make rudimentary weapons such as these basic explosive devices. We've seen in other incidents, terror-related incidents, for example, where you can kill large numbers of people without any access whatsoever to these kinds of traditionally criminal or terrorist-associated weapons. For example, we've seen vehicles used, knives used as weapons, and these have been very, very effective in terror attacks. And there's no reason, of course, why they wouldn't be equally effective in the hands of a disaffected ex-student, for example. And so it's possible, certainly, to using the internet, freely available information, to make basic explosive devices.
And we are keeping across any further developments following the attack in Crimea. We'll bring you any updates.